Dr. Vanessa Carter was no stranger to adversity. At 42, she had built Carter Innovations, a tech conglomerate specializing in financial software, from a small startup in her garage to a powerhouse valued at over $300 million. Her journey was marked by resilience, navigating a world where her identity as a Black woman often invited skepticism before respect. Yet, on this particular morning, as she stepped into the downtown branch of Pinnacle Trust Bank, a regional institution her company had acquired 2 years prior, she carried the quiet confidence of someone who had earned her place at the top. Vanessa had arrived at the branch unannounced, dressed in a tailored navy blazer and slacks, her hair neatly pulled back. She needed to withdraw a significant sum for a last-minute vendor payment, a transaction she preferred to handle in person to ensure accuracy. The branch, located in a bustling business district, was one of Pinnacle Trust's flagship locations, known for its sleek glass facade and reputation for serving high-net-worth clients. Vanessa had no reason to expect anything less than professional courtesy. As she entered, the lobby was moderately busy, with a handful of customers waiting in line and tellers working behind the counter. Vanessa approached the counter, where a young teller, a man in his mid-20s named Brian, greeted her with a perfunctory smile. She explained her request, a withdrawal of $50,000 from her corporate account. Brian's demeanor shifted almost imperceptibly, his eyes narrowing as he asked for her identification. Vanessa handed over her driver's license and the corporate account details, expecting a swift process. Instead, Brian hesitated, glancing at her ID and then back at her. "This is a large amount," he said, his tone clipped. "I'll need to verify this with my manager." Vanessa nodded, accustomed to protocol for large transactions, but something in his voice, a hint of skepticism, put her on edge. She waited as Brian disappeared into a back office, her patience tested by the ticking clock on the wall. Minutes later, Brian returned with the branch manager, a woman in her 50s named Karen Whitmore. Karen's expression was polite but guarded, her lips pressed into a thin line. "Miss Carter," she began, emphasizing the Ms. as if questioning its validity, "we're having trouble verifying your account. Can you provide additional documentation? Perhaps a corporate resolution or proof of your authority to withdraw?" Vanessa's brow furrowed. She had overseen the acquisition of Pinnacle Trust herself, ensuring all accounts were seamlessly integrated under her company's umbrella. Her name was on every major document tied to the bank's ownership. "I'm the CEO of Carter Innovations," she said calmly, her voice steady but firm. "This is my account. I've withdrawn similar amounts before without issue." Karen's smile didn't reach her eyes. "I understand, but we have to follow procedure. Large withdrawals require extra scrutiny, especially when," she trailed off, leaving the sentence unfinished, but the implication hung heavy in the air. Vanessa felt the weight of it, a familiar sting she had encountered too many times in her career. She took a deep breath, maintaining her composure. "Please check the system again," she said. "My authorization is on file." Karen excused herself, promising to look into it, but the interaction dragged on. Vanessa stood at the counter, aware of the curious glances from other customers and the whispers among the staff. After 10 minutes, Karen returned, this time with a security guard trailing behind her. "I'm sorry, Miss Carter," she said, her tone now openly dismissive, "but we can't process this request today. Perhaps you can return with the proper documentation." The words hit Vanessa like a slap. She wasn't just a customer. She was the owner of the bank, a fact the staff clearly didn't know or refused to acknowledge. The security guard's presence, looming just behind Karen, felt like an unspoken threat. Vanessa's mind raced, but her face remained impassive. She had faced prejudice before, subtle slights in boardrooms, assumptions about her qualifications, but this was different. This was her bank, her institution, and she was being treated like an outsider. "Thank you for your time," Vanessa said, her voice icy but controlled. She retrieved her ID and walked out, her heels clicking against the polished floor. The eyes of the staff followed her, some with curiosity, others with barely concealed judgment. As she stepped into the sunlight, Vanessa pulled out her phone and dialed her chief of staff, Marcus Reynolds. Marcus, she said, her voice low but resolute, I want the entire staff of the Pinnacle Trust downtown branch terminated by the end of the day. Every single one of them. And I want a full audit of their customer interactions for the past 6 months. Marcus, accustomed to Vanessa's decisiveness, didn't hesitate. Understood. I'll get legal and HR on it immediately. Should I schedule a meeting with the regional director? Yes, Vanessa replied. And I want to be there when the terminations are announced. Set it up for this afternoon. Within hours, the wheels were in motion. Marcus coordinated with Pinnacle Trust's HR department and legal team, drafting termination notices for the branch's 12 employees, from tellers to the branch manager. Vanessa's authority as CEO of Carter Innovations, which owned Pinnacle Trust through a subsidiary, gave her the power to make such a sweeping decision. But she wasn't acting on impulse. This was about accountability, about ensuring that no one, not her employees, not her customers, would face the kind of treatment she had just endured. By 2 p.m., Vanessa returned to the branch, this time accompanied by Marcus and the regional director, James Thornton. The lobby was quieter now, the lunch rush over. The staff, unaware of the storm about to break, went about their tasks. Karen Whitmore was at her desk, reviewing paperwork, when she noticed Vanessa's return. Her expression faltered as she saw James, a senior figure in the bank's hierarchy, standing beside her. Ms. Whitmore, James said, his voice formal, please gather your team in the conference room immediately. Karen's confusion was evident, but she complied, rounding up the staff. The employees filed into the conference room, some exchanging nervous glances. Vanessa stood at the front, her presence commanding. She didn't need to raise her voice to convey authority. Good afternoon, she began, her tone measured. My name is Dr. Vanessa Carter, CEO of Carter Innovations, the parent company of Pinnacle Trust Bank. This morning, I visited this branch to conduct a routine transaction. Instead of receiving the service I expected, I was met with skepticism, disrespect, and an assumption that I didn't belong here. That is unacceptable. The room was silent, the air thick with tension. Karen's face paled, and Brian, the teller, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Vanessa continued, her gaze sweeping over the group. As the owner of this institution, I have a responsibility to ensure that every customer is treated with dignity and respect, regardless of who they are. Your actions today failed to meet that standard. Effective immediately, your employment with Pinnacle Trust is terminated. Gasps rippled through the room. Karen stood, her voice trembling. Dr. Carter, I'm sorry if there was a misunderstanding. We were just following protocol. There was no misunderstanding, Vanessa cut in. You didn't verify my account properly. You didn't check the system thoroughly. And you made assumptions about me based on nothing but bias. That's not protocol. That's prejudice. James stepped forward, holding a stack of termination letters. HR will provide details on your exit process, he said. You'll have until the end of the day to collect your belongings. As the staff processed the news, Vanessa's mind was already on the bigger picture. This wasn't just about one branch or one incident. It was about a culture that allowed such behavior to persist. Over the next few days, she launched a comprehensive review of Pinnacle Trust's operations, ordering mandatory diversity and inclusion training for all employees and a revision of customer service protocols. The audit of the downtown branch's interactions revealed a pattern of complaints from minority customers, confirming Vanessa's suspicions that her experience was not isolated. The terminations made headlines. Local news outlets picked up the story, framing it as a bold move by a Black CEO to confront systemic bias. Social media buzzed with reactions, some praising Vanessa's decisiveness, others debating the fairness of firing an entire team. Vanessa didn't engage with the noise. She was too busy working with her team to rebuild the branch, hiring a new staff trained to prioritize inclusivity and competence. For Vanessa, the incident was a reminder of why she had fought so hard to reach her position. It wasn't just about success. It was about creating a world where no one would be judged by their appearance before their credentials. As she sat in her office a week later, reviewing the new branch manager's resume, she felt a quiet satisfaction. The downtown branch would reopen under new leadership with a renewed commitment to fairness. And Vanessa Carter, as always, would keep pushing forward, undeterred by the obstacles in her path.